So some of you may have noticed that both episode 1 and episode 80 of Attack on Titan have very similar titles. Both respectfully are named From You 2,000 Years Ago and To You 2,000 Years Ago. Now, over the years, there have been many theories and speculations out there as to what this could mean. Like, is it Ymir sending messages to Eren, or something even deeper than that? So, in this video, I'm here to best explain why episodes 1 and 80 of Attack on Titan share the same titles. Let's jump in. To first understand, we must introduce Ymir, who became the first founding Titan. This is because her story is very important in understanding why these titles are so similar. Ymir was originally enslaved by first King Fritz, and after being blamed for setting pigs free in their village by 13 individual fingers, she is freed by King Fritz. Except, in reality, she is hunted down, and when trying to flee from his men, she finds a hollowed out tree for shelter, to which she falls in a basin, and an organism called the hallucigenia attaches itself to Ymir's spine, and thus the very first Titan is born. The founding Titan. Now born with this immense power to transform into a Titan at any moment's notice, she returns to King Fritz, but not for revenge or to set her fellow slaves or people free. Ymir instead works for King Fritz and strengthens their military resolve by using her Titan form to crush the opposition. There is no mistake in me saying that this was Ymir's choice, and it's all because Ymir is essentially the biggest people pleaser of all time. She cannot say no to her king because she is but a slave who has no free will. In many ways, you can say Ymir is the opposite of Eren Yeager because Eren fights for other people's freedom while Ymir fights for others' oppression due to her choice of supporting King Fritz. The reality is Ymir is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, which if you are unfamiliar with is the real-life occurrence where a person starts to identify and empathize with their captor's goals, plans, and so on. Years pass, and Ymir's reward for strengthening Eldia's empire and weakening Marley's is King Fritz's children. She ends up giving birth to Sheena, Rose, and Maria, names I'm sure you're familiar with, as these are the name of the walls which protect humanity, the very same walls created from millions of dwelling colossal titans. Where they come from is an even more tragic story. One day, an assassin attempts to kill King Fritz, but the spear only connects with Ymir as she jumped in the way of its path, saving King Fritz. While she is stirred to rise from King Fritz, she does not, and her life ends at this moment and her existence begins anew in the afterlife. But let's not get too far ahead, as Ymir, even in death, is not given peace. Her body is cut into pieces and fed to her children in an attempt to retain the power of the Titans for King Fritz's Eldia. He is successful, as King Fritz builds a legion of Titans out of his children to wage war and conquer their foes. And at old age, when King Fritz passes, his wish is to continue this cycle forever, so that Eldia may reign supreme. While Ymir's physical body has passed on, her spiritual form is retained in the path, specifically the coordinate, which is the giant beam branching out into oblivion like a tree's roots. Ymir is now responsible for creating the Titan forms we have all come to adore or dread from the sands which stretch out endlessly. Even in death, Ymir can do nothing but serve her king, a slave forevermore, destined to repeat her duty over and over. Ymir, for over 2,000 years and millions in her timeline, has been creating the Titans for her descendants. Truly, one of the most tragic figures in Attack on Titan and possibly the saddest existence. Now it's time to get into the grit of this topic. Why episodes 1 and 80 share similar titles. We start with episode 1 of Attack on Titan called To You 2,000 Years Later. A very ominous title, one that even when I first watched the episode and read the chapter, I never quite understood the meaning of. Though it's something that bears repeating. My very first Attack on Titan video on this channel, dating from 2014, was a breakdown of said episode where I noticed something interesting.
So now you may be asking, yo, SeaTactics, what about that scene you told us to remember? Well, here we go. If we compare that to this screenshot, they are pretty much the same. Aaron's dream may not have been just a dream, which leads me to believe that something bigger is going on here, possibly even more sinister. That raises a lot of questions and leaves only one answered. Aaron saw his mother die before she died.
The first scene after the opening credits is a vision of death, despair, and destruction. More specifically, the death of Aaron's mother, Carla. In fact, if we compare these two shots, they're actually the same scenes. Now, for 8 years, I've always been wondering, how did Aaron see these grisly scenes play out before they happened? Well, now we know why that is. Ymir sent these memories back to past Aaron. The reason this episode is titled the way it is because Ymir is sending those memories to you 2,000 years later in the past. This is because Aaron at the time didn't have any Titan powers, so Ymir had to send those memories back. As for the reason, Aaron was able to free Ymir from her own fate in the path 2,000 years later. We can surmise this because if we go back to the story of Ymir, she was never given a choice. She was always told what to do and never given an option. With the arrival of Aaron and Zeke in the path, this finally changes after millions of years. Zeke had commanded Ymir to euthanize all Eldians, as she only listens to those of royal blood. Though, we never knew Aaron's wishes for Ymir until this episode, because really, there isn't one. Aaron simply presents to Ymir what he wants to do, unlike Zeke, and those who have commanded Ymir to do their bidding. Aaron simply leaves it as such. It's a desire he wishes to do. Aaron, being a man of freedom, leaves the rest up to Ymir to decide what she wants. For Aaron, it was never about using Ymir. It was about freeing Ymir from the shackles of a king long dead. Ymir was never waiting for anyone in particular. Ymir was simply waiting to be set free, and Aaron Yeager was the man to do just that. Ymir, now released from the torture of her past, is now finally, 2,000 years later, free to enact revenge. And that is why episodes 1 and 80 of Attack on Titan share such similar titles. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a like, but as well, if you found this video helpful, check out my character analysis on both Gabby Braun and Porco Galliard. Thanks for watching, bye-bye!